Greetings and great things. It is Q Talks once again, and this is Black Swan Theory. Welcome. Today we are going to be talking about quitting and why walking away from a job that isn't serving you is not failure, it is freedom. It is so windy today, by the way, guys, so I'm gonna try to talk as loud as possible, but you can see the trees blowing. But yeah, a lot of us stay in careers that don't serve us because of fear, because of validation, because of identity, right? But sometimes that job that you're working so hard for is the same thing that is quietly eating away at your spirit, right? And draining you. It's not selfish for you to leave, it's actually you showing yourself an act of self trust. The reason I say this as well is because I've been in that position myself. I made a video about it, which you can check out. It's a little further back in my YouTube videos, right? And when you can feel that something is taking away your life force energy, it's not worth the exchange, right? And you have to remember your life force energy is very potent and it's yours, right? There's nothing else in this world that can replicate that. So when you start to realize that the environment you're in is not serving you, or it's not a true reflection of the value that your energy can bring, that is when you realize that a change has to happen. When I finally decided to leave my job, it was because I knew that it was just no longer any good for me to be there. Not mentally, not physically, not spiritually, not emotionally. And even the people around me, my environment was advising me, reflecting me, telling me, showing me so many signs, synchronicities, symbols, all that were alluding to the same thing, all that were concluding to the same thing. And I myself had already grappled, with the decision. But the decision came in divine alignment because when I started working at that company, I had already set in mind the amount of time that I wanted to be there for. And even though I started feeling the urge and the thought to leave prior to that time frame, I stuck around, and I also, didn't want to give up. So in that time, I made sure that I was certain about the decision that I was making. And I found that in the end, not only was I certain about that decision became the only decision. It became the only um, avenue, right? So it was meant to be, regardless of what I wanted to think about it. There was so much that I thought that I might lose. I was worried about losing, my space on the career ladder, the opportunity at a increasing salary, um, you know, the environment that I was in, wondering would I find another role, would I find a better role. Yet, I also realized sometime after making the decision to leave that everything that I chose was in alignment because everything that I decided always came to pass. So even the decision that I had made to leave allowed other things to come to pass that I already had decided were going to happen, right? So for me, it wasn't a loss. I actually gained so much because I gained more trust and faith in myself. I gained more of an understanding of my intuition and the things that I could sense around me. Because, for example, before I left, I could already sense that that company was not doing as they might be perceiving themselves to be. And not too long after I left, I heard wind that they started letting people go. So that was an example of why what I thought I was going to lose, it didn't actually exist. Actually, I gained further clarification that I was correct, that what I was sensing was correct, right? And that the decision that I had made was correct and was the best decision for me. I also gained so much much more remembrance of myself and the connection that I have with myself, because I was becoming so numb from forcing myself to show up in a way that wasn't right for me, in a place that wasn't quite right for me, and in a role that didn't reflect the capacity that I can bring, right, to the world, or to anything. So while I was there were many times that I even asked myself, who am I? What do I want? How do I feel? And I did not have an answer because I was so disconnected from my truth. I wasn't living in a way that served my purpose, right? When I chose to leave and I realized how tired I was after I left, I was exhausted every day and I would go to sleep so early. But then I had to ask myself, hold on, I was working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And when I was doing that, I did not. I obviously felt tired, but the fact that I am now basically doing nothing every day and I'm still feeling absolutely drained and exhausted at the end of the day is proof that I didn't even know how I truly felt, because I was blocking it out just so I could go to work, do what I needed to do and just keep on showing up. So I gained myself back. And when you have yourself, your true self, not the self that you feel that you have to be, or that you feel that has to do these things and show up in these places. When you gain back your true self, there is nothing that can compare to that, and there is nothing that can put a price tag on that. Okay, there's no career that can compare to living in your authenticity. When it comes to things like walking away, we always have these thoughts, these doubts, these fears about what others will think, right? But also about what will happen. I was worried about disappointing the people that I worked with, maybe my friends, my family, people that I would have to tell that I had made the choice to become unemployed. But I was also worried about disappointing myself, my future self. Was I really going to make the best out of this decision? Was I going to show up for myself? What if things don't get any better than what I have now and I'm throwing it all away? But yet again, I learned that I was only going to gain so much more than I ever could imagine losing, right? That all those thoughts and those ideas of disappointment, they were invalid. They did not matter when it came down to, again, how I felt and how I was going to feel as a result of doing what is right for me. So, my black swan, I would love to know from you, what would you do differently if you didn't feel that you had to prove yourself anymore to anyone, including yourself? I'm here to let you know that quitting isn't the end. Sometimes it's the first real choice you've ever made for yourself. There are more episodes coming very soon. We also have the podcast on the way, and I am so excited to get deeper with you guys. I can't wait for us to grow together. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.